Okay, welcome into the shop. Now, I want to do an overview of my Oliver equipment. If you've been with the channel for a while, at least 3 years, which is a long time, I've been around for a while, you know that Oliver and I partnered together, and that video I put out about 3 years ago. And I'll link that down in the description. If you want to go check that out, it'd be a great video to watch. I want to lay the foundation for this video in saying that Oliver sent me these machines 3 years ago. It was a partnership. It was kind of a handshake deal with them. They sent me this 20-inch planer and then the 16-inch parallelogram joiner. They also sent me their 14-inch bandsaw and their drill press. The bandsaw is no longer here, and I'll touch base on that here in a little bit. Just to let you know, the machines were given to me. I've had 3 years to work with them. This is a professional shop. I build furniture for clients all over the U.S. and I've put them through a lot of use, and I have some feedback to give you guys. And as far as my relationship with Oliver, they're a good company. I've enjoyed working with them. The communication between me and them has kind of fallen off in the last year and a half. There's no bad reason for that. It's just there hasn't been any situation or opportunity to work together, and that's okay. I have no bad feelings towards Oliver. This is just a real genuine review of the machines, so people can know what to expect from Oliver equipment. It's going to be a lot of talking in this video, and I'm just going to be sharing what I like about them, what I don't, and that's it. So let's start with the joiner. All right, so this is their 16-inch parallelogram joiner. It's got a helical head, which I absolutely love. I've had zero issues with any of the cutters on this. The helical head's been great. The machine has an on and off, or not an on, I should say an off pedal right down here, which is a nice feature. Really like that. Can turn the machine off easily. It does have a digital readout here for the cutout thickness. I've never turned that on, never used that. I don't have any need for that, but it's a cool feature, I guess. It joints perfectly. I've had it 3 years. I glue up tabletops right off of this machine. I have, in those 3 years, twice I've had to readjust the tables. Since these are parallelogram tables, there can be a little bit of movement in them. If you drop a board really hard, a heavy board on these, especially the infeed table, you can get it a little bit out of coplanar. I will tell you, I've had joiners in the past, and if you have any experience with joiners, adjusting them is a nightmare. I had a Jet before this that I absolutely just wanted to take a baseball bat to every time I had to adjust it because it was just not easy. This is a fairly easy machine to tune up. In 20 to 30 minutes, once you know what you're doing, you can dial these tables in, get them coplanar, and get this thing joining on the money pretty quick. And that is something that I just love about this machine. It's super easy to adjust, super easy to dial and tune up, and it's a long table. So I forget the length on this, but we do a lot of tabletops in this shop, and this machine is a game changer in being able to joint long boards and right off the joiner build to glue them up. I want to just share a couple of things about the machine that I don't like. So for the most part, I really love this machine. Now, I will say, I'm going to say this right off the bat. Let's start with the fence. Okay, the fence is a mess. It does not stay square. You constantly, every time I want to do a precise cut on this, if I need to edge joint and face joint and get them perfectly square every time, I'm going to have to bring a stair out, a square, and dial this fence in. It does not square evenly from one end to the other. So the infeed side is usually right in here, you're square, but I don't know what about it, but you cannot, if you're square down here, you're not square here. Well, first off, this is not the original fence that came with the machine. It was an aluminum fence, which was much taller, which I actually really like, but they've moved away from the aluminum fences, which I think is great. They sent me this cast iron fence, which I think is the fence that they equip all of their joiners with now. But the problem is this cast iron fence on this mechanism back here it does not work. So this is all kind of aluminum, and it's not a good sturdy system back here. I just sat down. I have not looked at Oliver's website in a while, and like I said, I haven't spoke with them in a while. I just sat down to look at their 16-inch joiner to get the price, and by the way, it's about $9,000 before shipping, and it was a lot cheaper 3 years ago, but we all know, it's a lot's changed in 3 years in this world. I was looking through the photos and they've completely redesigned this back here. Their new machines are all cast iron. Looks way better. And actually I was just sitting here thinking, man, I wish I had that on this machine, because it would probably work a lot better. It's a solid steel, cylinder, I'm assuming, on all cast iron components, and it looks like it's probably got great motion and it's a lot sturdier, so it's probably going to hold the fence in the square a lot better. So I'm telling you what I don't like about the machine, but it looks like they've fixed that. And it looks like they've solved that problem. Like I said, I haven't really communicated with them. Now, I will say when I bought the machine, not when I bought them, but when they sent me these machines and gave them to me, I gave them a lot of my feedback on them, and they were very open to making changes. They work hard to make the best product. I mean, that's the feeling I got from them. When I sent them, critiques for the machine, they responded well to that. So, I wish I could take this whole assembly off and get the brand new one. But, for now, we have to deal with squaring it basically every time. So that's the big pet peeve. So this is a spring-loaded guard. Generally, it'll close in. I can do that, but I release the spring because I like to be able to move it myself. So if I'm here joining a small one, I can kind of position it where I want it. And sometimes I'll take it completely off. So that is not how that goes. It does have a spring mechanism and it works great. The only other complaint I have about this machine is the adjustment here. So it has an up and down. It works great. So you're dropping the in-feed. You can get a really heavy cut on this thing. But if you're running the machine for a long period of time, there's vibration in the machine. I'll turn on. There's a little bit of vibration in this machine. And this handle can slowly move. Let me turn her off. So I've had instances where if I run it for 20, 30 minutes, making a bunch of passes on something, my depth of cut will slowly drop. And they really need to put a lock on their adjustment handle back here. That way you don't have it changing. Cosmetically, there's some kind of trim piece here that had something on it that just wore off and peeled off, and it left it all sticky, and now it's just like full of sawdust that's stuck to it. That's, that kind of finished stuff is a little bit annoying, but that's really it. There's not much I can say other than the fence, which is a pretty important part of a joiner, but it looks like they fixed that issue. Other than that, the machine works great. Easy to tune up, easy to adjust, and joints accurately. So let's move on to the planer. Okay, 20-inch planer with a helical head. I've got to be honest, I can't say anything negative about this machine. It's really been a great machine. It works well as long as you maintain it. The adjustment, so the cool thing about this machine is when you raise it, it's the cutter head moving, the table stays even. So I've got an adjustable work table. I can get it to this height, feed it through, and as I change, nothing changes here. The Wixie digital readout works great. You got to recalibrate this thing pretty often, but when you get it calibrated, works just fine. You might need a little bit of oil, right? That's a new squeak. Everything though on this is good. The only thing this machine has done that can be annoying is sometimes the feed doesn't feed very well, and that's always solved. Always I can solve that by cleaning the table, waxing it, and buffing it, and it'll feed great. So there might be the slight complaint on the feed roller setup, but like I said, I can always fix that by waxing my table. One of my favorite things about this machine is I leave a screwdriver right up here on my dust collection, so I can pop pretty quick. It's got a little magnet, so it sticks right to a couple turns, I can pull that, I can stick my screwdriver back, twist lock on here, and if we're running something on the wide belt right here or something big tabletop, can very easily, this thing just rolls. It's got wheels built into it, and it moves really easily. I can move it around the shop, get it out of the way, and open up this whole space. So that's a feature that's really, really cool. And I actually use it quite a bit because I don't have the biggest shop. So it's nice to be able to easily roll your tools. And all of those wheels down there, there's turn knobs down there that can lock those wheels so it doesn't roll when you're using it. It has 2 speeds to it, so we'll crank her on. You can go fast or slow. I always go fast, really never go slow. This thing right here is a little bit bent, but that's because we ran into it. So I wish, I wish I could find something I didn't like about it, but I can't. I also love this up here. These things, I put a lot of parts up here, and you can store parts up here. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's a good machine. We can move on. I highly recommend it. Okay, the drill press. Really, this is a machine that, I don't use a whole lot, but when you need it, you need it. And there's our applications where you have to have it. This, one thing about this drill press I love is it's pretty solid built. I mean, this sucker's heavy. Cast iron base. The adjustment on it, it's a two-hand operation, but that's probably because it needs to be greased. Didn't used to be that way. It's a bit of a fight, and it's a little bit wobbly, but that's not the, oh, you know why? Because it's still locked. That's one way to make it hard. Yeah, if it's not locked, it's a little bit easier. Okay, we got to remember to unlock it. You are noticing it being a little wobbly. That's not the drill press, obviously. That's the floor. It needs to be shimmed. I tend to slide this thing around and move it out of my way, and right now it's just kind of put back. You can change the speeds on this. Pretty simple and straightforward. I feel like everything from here up, this is like thin sheet metal. There's a little bit to be left said about the build quality there. This is a sticker, which I was disappointed in that, like a really cheesy sticker. Every other machine I have is a really cool, like, plate all over logo, and they just threw a sticker on that one, so I don't really get that. The chuck works great. It seems to be, the table from front to back here has stayed square. It's really somewhat easy to move at an angle. Most drill presses are a pain to do that, and this one's, you got to loosen a few. It's a little bit of work. If you want to go an angle, it's a little bit of work. But like I said, that's the way all drill presses are. It does have a laser. I've never used it. I don't know. I'm not into these laser things. I don't have any use for that. There is a light as well. Occasionally I will use the light. It can be helpful if you need to kind of line up a drill bit or see better. The light's nice to have. I like that. I'm rotating it a little bit. Here's what I'm going to say that I don't like about this machine is all drill presses have your stop right here. So I'm going to drop this table. I had a Delta before this drill press, an old Delta, and if I could just take that stop system and put it on the Oliver, it'd be the perfect drill press. So you got a screw here on a threaded rod, and that's what stops. So when you set the depth of your hole, that's your stop. You've got two screws, so you can lock it in if you want to lock it in. It doesn't work great. When you lock it in, it's hard to keep it where you want it. And even when you lock it in, I mean, once you get it locked in, it's pretty good. But if you forget to lock it, the saw can move that thread. It moves really easily on those threads. So it's kind of a pain. But the worst thing about it is if you need to move it a long distance, you're just kind of sitting here going da-da, it just takes a while. And it's a little bit annoying. And it just, just dialing that in. It's not a super easy, to me, it's not a well thought system. And the reason the Delta I had a little push key thread thing, so you pushed a button and you could slide that stop up and down and move it real quickly. And when you release that button, it locked in place. This one, once you get it where you want it, you do a little trial and error, you got to thread the other one down. And to me, it's just a little bit annoying. That's really all I got to say. This is, it's a heavy duty machine. I think the best thing about it is it's a lot of cast iron. It's solid and it's got a lot of weight. If they could make this a little prettier up here, I mean, you're paying $1,600 for it, which is a pretty good price, I think, actually, for this machine. Just put the nice tag up there. Don't get the sticker on there, and then, maybe redesign this. That would be something I would consider. Other than that, it's a good machine. Like the table, it's a small table, but this is more designed for a machine. It's a slotted table for machine work. You could put an auxiliary table on there and make it a lot bigger, and it works great. So let's talk about the bandsaw that used to be over here. All right, so if you watch the videos, you know that I have several old Oliver machines. That's kind of what led me down the path of working with Oliver. It's because, yeah, restored a few. I was like, well, why not work with Oliver and see how that goes? And so that's how we got there. Their bandsaw, so I did get the 14-inch bandsaw from them, and if you go to their website, years ago, I think they discontinued all of their bandsaw because they just couldn't get the quality they wanted out of the machine. So when I talked to the GM of Oliver, their response was like, hey, we just can't get the quality we want, so right now we're not going to have them made, and we'll circle back. So I don't know if they'll go back to bandsaws or not, but the one I had here, which we're not looking at, this is an old one from 1925, was a 14-inch, and it wasn't a bad saw for a hobbyist, but in a professional shop, it just wasn't going to work well. It had a lot of vibration in it, and it just, I would say it wasn't the best, and they knew that, and you can't even get them anymore. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll get a new bandsaw design from Oliver here in the future, and we can check it out. I want to show y'all before we leave my lathe, because it's one of my favorite Oliver pieces of equipment. I have to apologize. It's kind of hard to get back into the turning area of my shop, and it's a little bit messy back here. Check this out. This is a replica, a wood pattern of a small cannon from the Battle of the Alamo. It's been sitting back here for a while. I need to get that to the Alamo folks. They might want that. They're going to cast it. I've done quite a few cannon patterns for the Alamo. This lathe, this is probably by far my favorite piece of Oliver machinery. I love this lathe. The only complaint I have is that I think the tool rest has a little bit to ask for. It's got some dents, and it's just, I don't know, it's a cast steel, and it's a little bit flimsy at the top where the tooling goes. It's a little bit thin, I shouldn't say flimsy, and it has some dents in it. So the tool rest, and I could modify it actually and probably fix it up. And I actually have modified several of their tool rests. I've ordered extra and cut them and shortened them. That's a sidebar. This is great lathe. Cast iron, solid cast iron. It's heavy. It just runs great. It's got a long bed, so you can buy an extension, which I have hooked to the bed, and this thing will get, I forget, but it's probably like 52 inches between centers. It's long, and I've turned that full 52 on it. It's cool. I've recently started doing bat classes for kids, and so I've had kids on this lathe turning bats. It's been a really good lathe. Now, the bummer about this is they don't make this one anymore. They discontinued the classic Oliver lathe, and they have a new one for 2024. I don't know anything about it. It's shorter bed length. You only get 41 inches, and they took the cast iron out of the base, which I think maybe was a cost savings thing. It's sheet metal base. I'm sure cast is way more expensive, so it's unfortunate. If there's any more of these floating around, I would highly recommend you try to find one, because like I said, they don't sell them anymore. I don't want to dog the new ones because I haven't used it, so I don't know, but I would imagine replacing the cast for sheet metal is going to affect the just weight of the machine. And with lathes, having that mass really helps, because if you got a heavy piece on there, it's off center, the lathe's going to vibrate with less mass, less weight. I bought this machine probably 5-6 years ago, and I remember reaching out to Oliver wanting to work with them, and they didn't necessarily want to partner, but they did offer me a little discount. And that was when I got this machine and started using it. That's when I really got into Oliver machinery, and we were able to develop a relationship and get the other machines in the shop, because I just loved this machine. It was a good machine. Yeah, I can't really tell you anything about it that I don't like, other than maybe the tool rest, but I've made it work. If you find an Oliver classic lathe and you need a lathe, I would get it. I would pick it up and go, especially if it's brand new. There might be a few still hanging around out there that you could get new. Okay, so that is going to close it down. I really hope that was informative and helpful in sharing my experience with them. Overall, I'm happy with the machines, and I'm also happy with the fact that I get the general feeling that Oliver cares about the product they make. We live in a world, we have to kind of set our expectations on machinery, because as woodworkers, we kind of obsess over quality. When I build my furniture, I try to build it the best I possibly can. And I think that trickles down into the tools we use and the machines we use. We kind of just expect everything to be perfect. And it's really hard to find that, especially in today's world of manufacturing, where most things just have to be made overseas. That's the only way these companies can compete. It's It's a highly competitive business. You got to understand that, you know, the America we live in now, it's much more difficult to manufacture here. I think there's only two machines, if I'm correct, and you can leave me a comment, I think Shopsmith and Northfield are the only two American-made machines. And Shopsmith is really a small hobbyist company, whereas Northfield, big-time industrial machines. You know, those are probably out of my reach to get a machine like that. There's always going to be little things that are going to annoy us and not be quite right, but I'm going to go ahead and say overall, I'm really happy with the machines. And the thing that's encouraging to me with Oliver is the bandsaw was kind of a bust. They knew that, and they just took it down. They stopped selling it. The joiner fence has been a constant headache for me, and it appears that they've taken care of that. If you look on the website, the new joiners have a really nice cast iron fence, which I'm kind of jealous of, whereas mine, it has they sent me the new cast iron fence, but the back mechanism that controls that fence, the tilt and the slide, is all aluminum. And I think that is the faulty part in that fence system that keeps it from staying square. And it looks like they've fixed all that. So in conclusion, very likely Oliver's going to see this. I just want to say to them again, thanks for helping support the channel and sending those machines 3 years ago. They've been a blessing to me and my business. I'm still here. I don't have quite the exposure I used to have, but I do enjoy the machines. And if there's any chance you can convert that joiner to the new cast iron fence, be really nice. I'd like to try that out. So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I'd love to get y'all's input and opinion. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comments. As always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next time.